Hello, everybody. Well, tonight I'd like to read to you from the book of Romans, Paul's letter to the Christians in Rome, the 12th chapter, part of that. But I'm reading to you from the Message. It's a very different version of the Bible, very contemporary, so I hope you enjoy. So here's what I want you to do, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for God. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings the best out of you, develops well-formed maturity in you. I'm speaking to you out of deep gratitude for all that God has given me, and especially as I have responsibilities in relation to you. Living then, as every one of you does, in pure grace, it's important that you not misinterpret yourselves as people who are bringing this goodness to God. No, God brings it all to you. The only accurate way to understand ourselves is by what God is and by what He does for us, not by what we are and what we do for Him. In this way, we are like the various parts of a human body. Each part gets its meaning from the body as a whole, not the other way around. The body we're talking about is Jesus' body of chosen people. Each of us finds our meaning and function as part of His body. So since we find ourselves fashioned into all these excellently formed and marvelously functioning parts in Jesus' body, let's just go ahead and be what we were made to be, without enviously or pridefully comparing ourselves with each other or trying to be something we aren't. If you preach, just preach God's message, nothing else. If you help, just help. Don't take over. If you teach, stick to your teaching. If you give encouraging guidance, be careful that you don't get bossy. If you're put in charge, don't manipulate. If you're called to give aid to people in distress, keep your eyes open and be quick to respond. If you work with a disadvantage, don't let yourself get irritated with them or depressed by them. Keep a smile on your face. Love from the center of who you are. Don't fake it. Run for dear life from evil. Hold on for dear life to good. Be good friends who love deeply. Practice playing second fiddle. Well, the story I'd like to read to you tonight is called Spoon, and it's written by Amy Krauss Rosenthal and Scott Magoon. This is Spoon. This is Spoon's family. On Sundays, Spoon goes to visit his Aunt Silver. He has to be on his very best behavior there. She's very fancy and proper. Goodbye, darling. Ta-ta. At bedtime, Spoon likes to hear the story about his adventurous great-grandmother who fell in love with a dish and ran off to a distant land. Lately, though, Spoon has been feeling blue. "What's wrong?" asked his mother. "You look a bit bent out of shape." Nothing, mumbled Spoon. It's just that, I don't know. All my friends have it so much better than me. Like Knife. Knife is so lucky, he gets to cut. He gets to spread. I never cut or spread. Yes, Knife is pretty spiffy that way, isn't he? And Fork. Fork is so lucky. She gets to go practically everywhere. I bet she never goes stir crazy like I do. Fork does get out and make herself useful, doesn't she? And Chopsticks. They are so lucky. Everyone thinks they're really cool and exotic. No one thinks I'm cool or exotic. Those chopsticks are something else, aren't they? Meanwhile, if only Spoon knew what his friends were saying at that very minute. Spoon is so lucky, said Knife. He's so fun and easygoing. Everyone's so serious with me. No one's ever allowed to be silly with me like they are with Spoon. Spoon is so lucky, said Fork. He gets to measure stuff. No one ever does that with me. Spoon is so lucky, said Chopsticks. He can go places by himself. We would never function apart. That night, after bedtime stories, Spoon's mom turned off the light, tucked him in, and said, "You know, Spoon, I wonder if you realize just how lucky you are. Your friends will never know the joy of diving headfirst into a bowl of ice cream." They'll never know what it feels like to clink against the side of a cereal bowl. They'll never be able to twirl around in a mug or relax in a hot cup of tea. Spoon hadn't thought of it that way before. He lay awake in bed for a long time. His mind was racing. He felt so alive. There was only one thing to do. "I can't sleep," he said. "Come snuggle. Come, Spoon." And so he did. Sweet dreams. You know, God has created each of us for very specific reasons with gifts and talents that only we have. And sometimes we want to do what other people do. We want to be as good as other people in certain ways, and that's not the gifts God has given us. But God has given us gifts that he knows we can use to help other people and to share our faith and to help other people grow in their faith. So be who God created you to be. Use the gifts God has given you. And over the years, you'll discover what those gifts are. And sometimes those gifts change because God is always helping us to grow and become even better. Sweet dreams. Sleep tonight. Sleep in peace, because you know what? God is awake. Good night.